Yayo talking about, yeah, Jay don't take care of...
I just came off tour.
Right.
When have you seen Bleek on tour?
I don't need Jay to go on tour.
Yo smoke hard coke, yo.
Yo, chill. Yo, chill.
Uncle Murda just snapped on Jim Jones for dissing 50 Cent, and he didn't mince words. After Jim took shots while talking with Memphis Bleek and tried to clown Tony Yayo, Murda stepped in and drew a line in permanent ink. Jay got business partners, 50 got brothers. That wasn't a random punchline. It was a verdict from someone who stood in both camps. In one sentence, Murda reframed the whole fight. This isn't just about a joke or a jab. It's about how leaders treat their people. The moment Murda spoke up, the internet lit up. Some said Jim was just keeping it playful and loud, the way he always does. Others said he crossed into disrespect, taking it from debate to mockery. Murda's tone made it clear. When you diss 50, you're not just poking a mogul, you're poking a code. And that code is why the conversation keeps coming back to a single question. Which legacy truly lasts, brotherhood or business? This flare-up didn't begin with Jim. It started, again, with Tony Yayo repeating something he's said for years. 50 Cent looks after his people better than Jay-Z does. He doesn't pitch it like a diss, he says it like a veteran with receipts.
They wasn't sure what to do with him at Interscope, and that's why they signed him to G Unit to give him some validation and some, you know what I mean? I remember that whole shit. I remember I was in the W, that whole shit, and he was telling me, yo, they about to sign me to G Unit.
With 50, the vibe is part business, part family, tour slots when others fade, TV cameos when the call could have gone to someone else. Real favors that don't need a camera. It's a pattern fans can see. G-Unit faces, Yayo and Lloyd Banks especially, don't vanish. They stay booked, visible, and tied to a brand that still moves them around the board. Yayo's take sticks because it's observable. People clock the flights, the festivals, the long-running presence. They see a system that keeps the day ones active, not archived. And that's where the divide starts. Some viewers think care should be visible, photos, shows, checks you can point to. Others think real care is quiet, calls you can't screenshot, opportunities arranged in rooms that don't allow phones. Yayo is clearly in the first camp. Enter Jim Jones during a conversation with Memphis Bleek. Jim doesn't disagree politely. He jokes loud, throwing shots at Yayo's money and even his smile. That's Jim's lane. Charismatic, bold, and fearless about stirring the pot.
You spoke about how
Jay don't look
they'll
out
look out for Bleek like Fib look out for you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I just want to clear that up. Hov don't have to.
And then he said he eat his home halal.
You know what I mean?
All right, okay.
I'm chewing halal on my own.
He eats on his own. I eat on my own too.
Right.
I go on my own too. I just came off tour.
The internet doesn't need more than that to run with the moment. Overnight, the conversation tilts from leadership styles to a character clash. Yayo versus Jim. Why did it blow so fast? Because personalities are easier to argue than principles. Jim plus Bleek creates instant gravity, a Dipset heavyweight sparring within orbit of Jay-Z's trusted ally. It's the perfect clip, short, spicy, and tailor-made for a timeline that loves a roast. Half the comments drag Yayo as living off 50. The other half call out Jim for inserting himself and making it personal. And beneath the noise sits the original thesis, waiting for someone to say it without theatrics. That's when Uncle Murda drops the sentence that changes the temperature of the room.
Recently, it was reported that Cameron will be collaborating with 50 Cent on Paid in Full. What would you expect to see with a Cameron and 50 Cent collaboration?
I don't know what to expect to see from them two suckers.
Jay got business partners, 50 got brothers. With that, Uncle Murda doesn't just defend 50, he defines the battlefield. Murda's angle matters. He's lived both, spending time under the Roc-A-Fella umbrella before locking in with G Unit. He's seen boardrooms and living rooms, what the brunch looks like, and what the late-night lifeline feels like. That's why people listened. It didn't sound like clout chasing, it sounded like translation, turning a decade of arguments into a sentence you can't forget. The line sticks because everyone understands the difference. A partner expects deliverables, quarterly logic, and measurable ROI. A brother expects presence, loyalty, and grace when the numbers dip. Each model breeds its own rules, its own rituals, its own culture. Under a partner model, if you're not performing, your access shrinks.
Tell, like, that's something that's been built up for years. Jim just been waiting for the opportunity to let it out. I think the reason that Jim may have a gripe with Yayo is because that time when Tony Yayo went on Matt Hoffa's podcast.
Under a brother model, if you're struggling, your couch expands. Neither is perfect, both create stories. Murda's point is simple: know which story you're living in, and don't pretend they feel the same. And once you frame the debate like that, the receipts crowd starts stacking examples on the table. Fans who back 50 Cent's brotherhood model talk patterns. Day ones like Tony Yayo and Lloyd Banks remain visible long after the chart-topping era. Yayo keeps landing international runs, drops into TV and content, and stays woven into the brand's fabric. That consistency tells a story. The calls still come, the door stays open, the schedule keeps room for the crew, even when the algorithm has moved on. Then there's the story everybody repeats: Young Buck and the IRS trouble. The tax situation was real, on paper, public, serious. The claim that 50 stepped in heavy became lore because it feels like the kind of help family gives. In a business that turns missteps into memes, a safety net is priceless.
You look like you need to be taken care of. You look like you need to go to the dentist. You need to look like you need to brush your teeth. You look like you need hygiene.
Jay-Z is not a bad guy. Bleek is not a bad guy.
No.
I'm not saying that.
You look like you need help. Tell your man 50 send you an ounce or something, yo.
Adding quieter moments, gifts, placements, well-timed introductions, and blunt advice about money, and the picture comes into focus. 50 thinks long-term about people, not just projects. Skeptics will say anecdotes aren't data. True. But careers that keep moving are data too. A reputation intact after 2 decades is data. A crew still comfortable next to the boss is data. In this argument, those lines on the chart matter as much as the spreadsheets do. But if you think Jay-Z's side has nothing to say, you don't understand how the boardroom gets its wins. Jay-Z has never been shy about being strategic. He's deliberate with his moves, precise with his name, and allergic to anything that looks like unnecessary noise. To fans who want public warmth and weekly shoutouts, that can read as distance. But there's another pattern that refuses to be ignored. People inside the circle, especially Memphis Bleek, describe Jay like a mentor, a big brother whose best work happens where cameras can't go.
When have you seen Bleek on tour? On his own. Jay-Z is not a bad guy. Bleek is not a bad guy. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to you that Jay-Z was all business with them niggas. When Buck up on his taxes, 50 apiece and more. When Prodigy bought a house and needed more money, 50 apiece and more.
Bleek's tone has been steady for years. Gratitude, guidance, and a bond that survived pressures that eat most partnerships alive. It's not fireworks, it's routine. A check-in call before a headline, a quiet connection that turns into an opportunity, a word of caution that saves a year. To the outside, that looks like silence. To the people in the room, that silence is the work. This is why Bleek's voice carries weight in this argument. He doesn't try to sell fairy tales or rewrite the past. He frames the relationship as continuity, the kind that doesn't need a microphone. In Jay's world, respect can look like standards. Show up prepared, move clean, protect the brand, protect yourself. That philosophy can be tough love if you're expecting constant hand-holding, but it can also be the reason careers last longer than a viral season. The assignment isn't stand next to me, it's stand on your own and I'll make sure you know how. So why does Jay carry the corporate tag? The Roc-A-Fella fractures. Those breakups are etched into culture like scars. Beanie Siegel's hurt is part of the public record. Stories of a bond that cracked under weight nobody knew how to carry. That pain shapes how people interpret Jay's quietness. What looks like discipline to some looks like distance to others. It's not only the suit, it's the memory of how the suit handled conflict. When audiences replay those chapters, they project old bruises onto new moments, and every calm move starts to feel like cold calculation. And yet the blueprint works. Jay's playbook built moguls, shifted the industry, and redefined artist to include owner, investor, architect. In that world, quiet help is still help. The call that steers you away from a headline will never trend, but it might save your next 5 years.
You might need 2 ounces.
That's why
Paid
you
in full
looking
movie.
at-
Nigga, I got a G for every bump in your face. Nigga, I promise you that.
That's
I
a
promise
fact.
you that.
That's why he worried about
Peon, you broke. Nigga. You know
See?
I got it.
The introduction no one hears about can become the reason you don't need an advance again. That's the paradox. A mentor whose most generous moves happen off camera, shadowed by famous fallouts the internet replays in 4K. If you judge only by what's public, you'll miss the infrastructure. If you judge only by the infrastructure, you'll miss the very real feelings left behind. Zoom out and you see the trade-off clearly. Jay's lane prizes self-sufficiency. Learn the paperwork, master the room, build leverage that outlives attention. It asks more of you up front and promises less applause along the way. For some, that's the perfect classroom. For others, it feels like a test you didn't know you were taking. Meanwhile, the memory of Roc-A-Fella with all its triumphs and fractures sits like a watermark on every new chapter, coloring how people read Jay's silences and Bleek's loyalty, and how they weigh Beanie Sigel's pain against a model that has clearly produced longevity. So we end up with two systems that both create success and both leave bruises. Jay's system bets on the long game and expects you to become a boss of your own. If you thrive under pressure, you leave with a spine of steel and options that don't depend on anyone else's tour. If you don't, the distance can feel unforgiving. The question the audience keeps wrestling with is simple. Which bruise are you willing to live with, being pushed to stand alone or being held close in ways the internet understands? The algorithm loves visible generosity. Put your loyalty in a photo, let it ride on a jet, crack a joke the whole room can hear, and the clip sells itself. That puts the wind at the back of the brotherhood model. Public warmth that feels like home. It's easy to root for. It looks like family dinner with stadium lighting. In that world, 50 Cent's approach is a masterclass in retention. Same faces, same chemistry, same sense that if you were there when it was rough, you're still there now. But the algorithm struggles with quiet care. It can't capture the meeting that changes your paperwork, the introduction that opens a fund, or the advice that keeps your name out of a mess. That's where Jay-Z's model thrives. Precision moves in private rooms. To outsiders, that can look like nothing. To insiders, it can feel like everything.
Strategy of paying back. The thing with 50 is, it was business and we was friends. I don't feel like Bleek was Jay-Z friend. I don't feel like Young Guns was Jay-Z friend. It came to a point where 50 was helping Siegel. Siegel was left in the dust.
No pity optics, no hand-holding, just standards and access. If you rise to it, you leave with your own engine. If you don't, it can feel like the building never learned your name. Zoom in on what platforms reward. Watch time, clicks, comments, repeat views. Visible loyalty is optimized for all four. A surprise cameo from Tony Yayo on a global stage. Clip it. A FaceTime from 50 cracking wise in a green room. Clip it. The internet turns proof of friendship into content you can share in 3 taps. Quiet mentorship doesn't travel like that. A phone call from Jay-Z telling Memphis Bleek how to navigate a contract isn't a viral asset. It's a future you won't see until the paperwork pays off. One model feeds the feed, the other feeds the foundation. Parasocial math makes the split even sharper. Audiences feel close to what they see. If you repeatedly see the same crew laughing, flying, and working together, you start believing you're witnessing genuine care in real time. When you don't see the care, you assume it isn't there. That's not truth. That's visibility bias. It's why a well-timed quip from Jim Jones can tilt perception overnight, and why a single sentence from Uncle Murda sticks like glue. The algorithm doesn't weigh context, it weighs engagement. Expectations finish the job. Some fans define love as logistics, keep the crew fed, booked, and seen. Others define love as elevation, teach people to level up until they never need a rescue. Both philosophies can be weaponized. Family can stunt growth if proximity becomes a substitute for progress. Corporate can turn cold if metrics replace empathy. The danger signs look different but cut the same. A circle that never lets you out, or a system that never lets you in. History adds shadows the algorithm can't erase. The Roc-A-Fella fractures linger in the background like watermark text. Beanie Sigel's pain, the public fallouts, the narrative that Jay moves like a CEO first. Those memories color how people read today's silences. On the other side, years of G-Unit visibility make it easy to believe 50's circle is permanently fed. You can point to tours, content, and running jokes and say, see? Different archives, different conclusions. There's also survivorship bias in who gets heard. The people thriving in Jay's classroom are often too busy building to broadcast why it worked. The people thriving around 50's camp have footage that speaks for them. Meanwhile, anyone who struggled under either system tends to make the loudest case against it. Hurt travels faster than nuance. That's why a sharp Jim joke can dominate a week, while Bleek's steady gratitude rarely trends past a day. And here's the quiet twist. Both models age differently. Brotherhood scales in feelings. It keeps fans attached to faces. Strategy scales in infrastructure. It keeps careers attached to opportunities. If you're a viewer, you'll naturally side with what you can see. If you're an artist, you'll side with whatever keeps you standing when the views cool off. That's the real divide beneath the comments. One camp wants to feel taken care of. The other wants to be unshakable. So the internet splits along values it barely knows it has. If you crave belonging, 50's public warmth looks like safety. If you crave autonomy, Jay's private playbook looks like freedom. Neither side is fully wrong. Both are incomplete, which is why this debate refuses to die, and why it only takes a Jim joke, a Yayo claim, a Murda one-liner, or a Bleek interview to restart the fire. And that sets up the only question that matters next. Which kind of care builds a legacy you can live with when the cameras stop watching? Here's the part nobody likes to admit. Both models are brutal if you're not built for them. Family can smother you if you mistake proximity for progress. If standing next to the boss convinces you you're moving when you're not. Corporate can freeze you out if you mistake access for ownership. If the invite feels like equity when it's not. The winners in either world learn to convert love into leverage. Take the tour slot, then build your own routing. Take the council, then structure your own equity. Tony Yayo is a case study in staying valuable and visible over time. Memphis Bleek is a case study in long-term loyalty that doesn't need weekly headlines. Both men reflect well on the bosses they defend. So who's the better boss, 50 Cent or Jay-Z? It depends on what you value when the charts go quiet and the phone cools down. If brotherhood is your compass, you'll point to the man who keeps everyone fed, calls your name on stage, and fronts a bill when the math goes bad. If strategy is your gospel, you'll point to the mogul who teaches you to fish, expects you to carry your weight, and makes one introduction that changes your decade. One feels like a block party. The other feels like a shareholder meeting. Pick your comfort zone or don't pick at all. The real flex is doing both, feeding your circle and teaching them to build circles of their own. Imagine the hybrid public warmth with private curriculum. Then the next viral clip won't debate who paid whose bill. It'll tally how many companies, catalogs, and careers grew from a single table. That's legacy you don't have to defend. Legacy that markets itself. So when Jim Jones cracks a joke, when Uncle Murda snaps back, when Tony Yayo restates his truth, and when Memphis Bleek offers steady gratitude, hear more than the noise, hear the blueprint humming underneath. Hear the lesson about how to hold your people and how to hold yourself. Because whether you choose brothers or partners, the only metric that matters is simple. Did your leadership help people survive the storm and build after the sun came out? If the answer is yes, your model works.